I want to explain some things. Everything else out there, and this is exactly the problem that I ran into when I was struggling with substances as a high level professional, someone who has a doctorate in chiropractic, runs private practices. This was a major problem for me. Everything else, whether it's therapy, quitting cold turkey, trying to use willpower, using little tracking apps on your phone, they all have you quitting. Well, that psychological and in many cases physical dependency to the drug is still hardwired into your brain and body, which leaves you constantly fighting cravings, constantly relying on willpower to move past this and hold it together. Let me explain why 90% of people ultimately relapse with these other methods. Rehab, it's super expensive. It's extremely disruptive, especially if you have a family, you have a business, you have a career, and it averages around a 90% relapse rate. Most rehabs, all you are paying for is a 12-step program with a premium price and a bed to sleep in that's not in your current environment. And this goes directly what I believe in, especially for people who are high level professionals. You got a lot of responsibilities, you have a career to maintain. You need to learn how to operate without the substance in real life, in real time, not in some fabricated environment. I see this all the time with people. Yes, you could go drop, just like one of my clients did, $120,000 on a 1 month rehab that has an 18-hole golf course and yoga all day long and therapy at your beck and call. But what happens when you come back to reality? For that individual, they wound up drinking again and they called me. Therapy. It's very, very slow. It tends to be ongoing. And just because someone is a therapist does not qualify them in any capacity to be speaking about addiction, nor does it mean that they have any specialization in addiction and addiction recovery. Okay, I'll tell you, I have worked personally with a number of therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists who are struggling with substance use. And that's okay because they're human beings too. We all are. People will go to therapy and it's okay. I'll see you next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Well, what happens in between that week to 2 week gap of appointments could be absolutely critical to you quitting the drug or avoiding a return to substance use, aka a relapse. A lot of therapy also tends to be very past focused, very trauma focused, trying to figure out what are the deeper reasons why you're using this drug. And honestly, can be very counterproductive for some people. Quitting cold turkey straight up relies on willpower. It can be extremely painful because you ultimately feel like you're depriving yourself of something and it's just not sustainable long term. Willpower is like a muscle. Eventually, that muscle is going to fatigue out on you. And if you're watching this, you've probably experienced that before. And then you have apps, you have courses, you have other things like that, which when you're working with me, it's not a course. It's you working with me directly one-on-one. Not a course, not my team members. It's me and you, uno on uno. These apps do nothing to change your beliefs. They do nothing to provide you with true accountability and support. They do nothing to make sure that your expectations in sobriety are becoming reality. And even worse, a lot of these apps are nothing more than a glorified day counter or day tracker. And as I advise people that I work with, you got to stop counting days. It's actually making this a lot more painful for you than it needs to be. So the biggest flaw of all these things, the dependency is still hardwired into your brain because no one actually addresses that. This was the biggest problem when I saw. So I set out to build exactly what I would have wanted as a high-level professional who was struggling with some pretty serious substance use, whether it was my binge drinking, my cannabis consumption, my nicotine consumption, adult media content, or stimulant abuse. So here's what I do instead. This is what we do inside the Addiction Exit Protocol. Instead of fighting cravings and using willpower for the rest of your life, my goal is to help you eliminate the psychological dependency. When you do this, triggers, they don't exist anymore. That business meeting that you have, maybe you're a financial advisor, you're on the golf course trying to lock in deals, you're a realtor, you're constantly out at networking events and things like that. It's not going to matter that alcohol's at the party. It's not going to matter that your buddies are smoking weed on the golf course. You will not want to do that behavior anymore. And for some people I work with, their goal is moderation. And if moderation is your goal, we can absolutely help you get there. Imagine it like this. If you genuinely hated coffee and you drank coffee in the past, would you really need to use willpower to avoid it? Obviously not. You would walk past the coffee as if it doesn't exist. And that's what true freedom actually looks like. Our goal is to make the substance completely irrelevant to your life. And that's why we have a 98% client success rate. Honestly, no one is insane enough to work with people at the level that I work with people on. And nothing else out there exists like what it is I have inside the addiction exit protocol. That I can guarantee you. That is a guarantee. Traditional addiction recovery, they're stuck at around a 10% success rate long term. And honestly, I bet if you really dug into it, it's probably even lower. We want freedom. We want to eliminate the substance. We want to eliminate the dependency, and we want to completely remove the need for you to continue using this. We want to rewire your brain, and we want to establish new neural pathways that are going to lead you towards a healthier lifestyle, which is something that you are likely seeking. And you know, the craziest thing to me is that so many of you watching this have worked so freaking hard to build the business you've built, to build the family you've built, to accomplish the things you accomplish. And so many of you will get on the phone with me and say, you know, Dr. Frank, drinking's my escape. Smoking weed is my escape. And I'm like, yeah, then why do you feel so trapped? It is a tragedy. I think there's two things that are an absolute tragedy. Untapped potential that is wasted. I think it's one of the saddest things in the world. And people who have worked as hard as you worked only to become subject to a lifeless substance. It breaks my heart, and I really want to help you fix this. So here's the 3 phases of what I do with people. This is our science-backed approach on how to rewire your brain at the neurological level so you genuinely will not want the substance anymore. Step number 1, expedited perception realignment. I am going to help you figure out your unique relationship with the substance using first principle thinking to completely rebuild your perspective, your belief systems, your perception of that substance use from the ground up. Honestly, I tell people we usually accomplish this in 1 to 18 days, but the average person I work with, this is achieved within 24 to 48 hours on our first 2 calls with each other. Stage number 2 is stabilization. I have to make sure you get through the detox and withdrawal without majorly disrupting any aspects of your life, whether that's showing up for your career, showing up for your family, or whatever else it is you have going on. We have to make sure you're stable. Once we did EPR, expedited perception realignment, and stabilization, we want to focus on making sure your expectations become reality. Everyone wants to stop a substance for a reason. They want better health, better relationships. They want to scale their business and make more money. They want to live to their actual potential. They want to be more present for their spouse and their kids. And I want to pause on this one because this is a big one I get. Look, you can drink alcohol and smoke weed, and you can still be a body moving around in your house with your kids and your wife. But there's a big difference between being physically present and actually being present. I cannot tell you the amount of people that I've spoken to have said, you know, I'm at my kid's soccer game, and all I'm thinking is, when is this going to end so I can go smoke? Or I leave halfway through the game and I go smoke in my car. I had someone enroll with us a few years back, and I remember this vividly. I said, why did you call me? He was like, my daughter was at a karate tournament. She had a major takedown during the tournament, and I was outside at my car hitting my one hitter. And this is like a very respectable individual, runs a huge finance firm. And he came back in, and I kid you not, it almost makes me emotional talking about this because now I have little kids. He's like, my daughter was looking and she was like, where's my dad? Where is he? And he was like, I was outside at my car because I couldn't get that craving out of my head. That is horrible. And even if you are present, you have to ask yourself, are you really present? Are you really there in the moment? Or are you just thinking like, when can I smoke? Can I get the kids to bed? Can I wrap up this dinner with my wife or my husband? I got to go smoke. Come on, let's move it along. That's lack of presence. Real true presence is such an unbelievable thing. And I'm sorry for going on that rant, but I think it's so important. But expectations becoming reality, we want to make sure that your expectations in stopping the use of a substance actually become your day-to-day life. Because I want you to walk away from substance use a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. And I want you to wake up and say, it was so worth it. I want the decision to be black and white. And I want you to be at a point where you're like, yeah, you know what? Either moderation or complete abstinence is 1,000,000% preferable to what I was doing prior to joining the addiction exit protocol. All right. So here's what you get from me inside the AEP program. You work with me one-on-one directly. There's no groups. There's no public meetings. You're not working with an assistant or someone else. You are working directly with me via Zoom, via WhatsApp, via text communication. You get 2 90-minute deep dive Zoom calls. And my goal is to solve this problem for you in 2 calls. That is my goal. that is honestly probably my average success rate with most people. Now, I'm not saying I can get you through a full detox depending on what it is you have going on in 2 calls, but we can definitely change your perception in 2 calls. Now, following that, you get unlimited Zoom calls with me. You get my calendar link and you can book as many Zoom calls with me as you need as often as you want. I also offer unlimited WhatsApp support. So something's on your mind, you message me in real time, in real life, you send me a voice note, you send me a text on WhatsApp, and I will get back to you and we will address that issue on the spot in real time, in real life. There's no like, oh, I need to wait a week or 2 weeks to speak to Dr. Frank again. I want to solve this for you efficiently, effectively, and privately. And I want to do it yesterday for you. You have complete privacy. You are working with me directly. You are not in a group admitting shame publicly. You are not being placed in some community. Absolutely nobody has to know that you are working with me aside from me, you, and whomever you decide to tell. And I often encourage people, the less people you tell, the better, because we don't need to air out your dirty laundry. Here's some results of people that I've worked with. Jordan Welch, he's a multi-million-dollar YouTube creator, an entrepreneur. He has over 2 million YouTube subscribers. He was smoking an ounce every single week, and we completely eliminated his dependency without disrupting his public image, his public life, or his content and business production. Massive win. We had the healthcare Mongol who had spent over $160,000 on private rehabs that completely failed him. We eliminated his actual physical dependency to alcohol in under just 1 week. And then we worked on the cigarettes, the cannabis, the escorts that he was having. We solved that shortly over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks with him. And we did it privately. His businesses became more profitable and his health and his relationships improved dramatically. We had the trial attorney who basically was super dependent on cannabis, and he was really worried that it was like impacting his ability to perform at trial. And he was super concerned about quitting because he had some pretty serious withdrawals when he would stop. And he was like, I don't have time to go through detox and withdrawal and for this to drag on for months because it's going to screw me up. We solved this problem for him as close to as immediately as you could say. And now I was just on the phone with him actually earlier today prior to filming this. And I was asking him, how's the marriage going? Are you guys thinking about kids yet? He's like, oh man, I can't wait to send you photos. We're just going through them all. And it's awesome. He's absolutely crushing it. He was one of our testimonials on there. He did, I think it was like a few weeks into working with us. And he was like, dude, I'm already up like 30 grand in revenue since quitting at my work. I can't believe this. I have literally worked with hundreds, if not thousands of individuals one-on-one over the last 8 years that I've been doing this across all different types of countries, professions, situations, and demographics. And I would absolutely love to work with you next. What are the next steps? I want you to go ahead and book a diagnostic call by clicking that link right there. We're going to go over your situation. We're going to walk you through a customized solution that is specific to you. This is not some generic program or some generic thing. It is built around you specifically. Step 2, we start immediately. Once we decide it's a good fit, you provide payment, and I am on the phone with you, on a Zoom call with you, solving this problem, likely within 24 hours after that. All right. I want to get this solved efficiently, effectively, privately, and I want to do it urgently for you. The goal is very simple. You come in with a dependency, you leave without one, and then hopefully you never need me again. I'd love to get some updates from you in the future if you're doing well, but like you never need to see me again. That is the goal. There is a very high chance you already have the life that you want. Let's just remove the one thing that is standing in your way. I will see you on that call.